Welcome, my name is Soulcool and this is the third part of my Zero to Hero series. In this video I want to hit level 30. Along the way I wanted to do some light questing in Red Ridge to get to level 25. At 25, we can head over to Duskwood and do incursion daily quests. These quests give a lot of experience. Once I complete these quests, I want to run the stockades and finish with the Blackfathom Deeps raid. It's a lot to cover, so let's get started. Let's check on how our auctions did. I am hoping to hit over 100 gold by level 30. Almost 20 gold, not bad. It seems our herbs are not selling. My hope is when I can pick Strangle Kelp, Arthur's Tears, and Purple Lotus that these sell for more gold. The reason why these particular herbs sell for a little more is because they can be turned in for commendations which are used to buy world buff items. Now that I reposted all of our auctions, let's turn in the Dead Mines quests, Oh Brother and Collecting Memories. We can also turn in the letter to pick up our first Stockades quest. In this playthrough, I forgot to pick up Underground Assault, but if you remembered, you can turn this quest in as well. The quest giver is a gnome located in the Dwarven district next to the blacksmith. With these two quest turn-ins complete, let's pick up some other Stockades quests. The first of these quests will be the Color of Blood. This quest will require us to pick up bandanas from the Defias prisoners in the stockades. We will also turn in the letter we got in Dead Mines and get the Stockades quest Basil Thread. This quest is a breadcrumb that will lead us to the stockades. It will require us to talk to Warden Thelwater, who stands out front of the stockades dungeon. While you are in Stormwind, make sure to stop by the Warlock trainer and train relevant spells. The Warlock trainer is located in the Trade District at the bottom of the Slaughtered Lamb Tavern. I flew over to Red Ridge Mountains off camera so we can pick up the quest. What comes around? I then made the walk down to Duskwood to pick up the quest Crime and Punishment. Once I had these three quests, I noticed that my level was a little low for the stockades, so I took the flight path back to Red Ridge to do a little bit of leveling. The plan is to do the Blackrock Bounty related quests in the north. I will first pick up the quest Blackrock Bounty from Guard Howe. Blackrock Menace is the second quest we will pick up from Marshal Maris. Blackrock Menace will require us to retrieve 10 axes from orcs, and Blackrock Bounty will require us to slay 15 Blackrock champions. While we are here, we will do an unwelcome guest quest. This quest will require us to kill a level 24 hog next to Marty Jane Rose's house. Evidently, the hog is tearing up her garden. In vanilla, this hog is pretty tough, but we should be able to care of this guest pretty easily. I started to fall a little behind in skinning, so I also killed the other hogs in the area to continue leveling it. Right now, this can be a bit of a pain because the leather doesn't sell for much, but this should earn us some more gold later once we can harvest thick leather. Now that the unwelcome guest has been taken care of, we will head north to do the Blackrock Bounty quests. These quests in vanilla can also be challenging because the camps are pretty densely populated with orcs. While we make our way north, I kill any orcs I see so I can get their axes for the Blackrock Bounty quest. There are plenty of orcs up north, so if you want to go straight there, you can. Now that we have made it up north, we should start to find the Blackrock champions. They should be around our level, and there should be a fair number of orcs here so you can get overwhelmed. Let's see how the Felguard fares in this area. In this camp, you will typically be fighting 2 or 3 orcs at a time. I could just imagine doing this in hardcore classic vanilla. I believe you would have to be part of a group and be very careful here. Hardcore is a little stressful for me, so I tend to stay away from those servers. But I do enjoy watching it from time to time. Once I make it through the camp, I go into the cave to pick up the Missing in Action quest. This quest will require you to escort Corporal Keishan to Marshal Maris back in Red Ridge. Corporal Keishan is an elite and should be able to take care of himself, but keep in mind you will need to provide backup. As you make your way out of the camp, make sure to pick up the remaining axes and kill enough champions to complete both Blackrock quests. As you can see, he will walk through the middle of camp, attracting the attention of all of the orcs, which can lead to some wild situations. Just try to keep your Fel God's health high and you should be okay. It took a while, but we finally made it back to town. Let's turn in the Blackrock bounty quests along with missing in action. Now that we are level 25, we can start to do the Duskwood Incursion daily quests. These quests are located in the center of Duskwood by the portal to the Emerald Dream. It's highly encouraged that you do these quests, since they are pretty easy to do and grant a lot of experience. Let's make our way over there. The quest giver is located here. You will want to pick up all the quests and any gathering ones you can do. My skinning and herbalism fell too far behind for me to pick up the quests, so unfortunately I can't do these. Some of the quests require you to kill bosses, so you will typically need a group for those. I wouldn't stress out in regard to finding a group since people are usually inside leveling. Your quest log might fill up, but you should be able to hold on to the stockades quests. Personally, I picked up a few too many Red Ridge quests, so I will be abandoning them. Now that we have picked up all the quests we will enter the portal by right-clicking on it. This will send us to the Emerald Dream, and we will first head over to the Ogre Mound to the easy part of the zone. The monsters are pretty challenging in here and can do a fair amount of damage to you out of nowhere, so be careful. You will find all the ogres you need to kill at the ogre mound. Make your way into the cave located here. You will find the ogre intelligence turn in here and the magi text as well. If you are lucky, you will find a person to rescue here for one of the quests. In order to turn this quest in, you need to escort the NPC to the ramp where we entered through the portal. The ogre magic text can be found here. Make sure to click on it to collect the item needed for the turn-in. We can head a little deeper into the cave so we can get the ogre intelligence. We were lucky enough to find a group of adventurers here. We can now take on the boss at the end of this cave. Typically, the intelligence quests turn-in are a bit hidden. The ogre intelligence is hidden here. Now that we have almost a full group, the boss should be no problem at all. Interesting enough, the other adventures are warlocks as well. What is even cooler is one is specialized in affliction and the other is destruction. This will give us a good feel for each specialization. I do believe the affliction lock is a little higher level and looks to have some decent gear, so they should do a bit more damage, but I do think affliction and destruction will do more damage than demonology at this level. I specialized in demonology because I couldn't get siphon life and an uninterruptible drain life. All of the ogre quests are now complete, so let's make our way over to the dragon area. The dragon area should be in the middle of the zone to the south. If your herbalism is high enough, make sure to pick herbs along the way. If your skinning is high enough, you can skin the dragons here for the skinning quest. In this area, killing dragons will count towards your progression. The Dragon Intelligence quest can be found in this house. Again, they are a little hidden, so make sure to talk with them while you are here. It seems the Affliction Lock has engaged the boss. This boss is a little tougher than the other ones. The Felguard can no longer hold threat even with Taunt on, because players are beginning to do too much damage. Surprisingly enough, the Affliction Lock has enough damage and sustain to main tank the dragon. I think I will try this specialization out next when I have a chance to visit a trainer because it looks very powerful. As you can see, with Affliction you can just use the Imp. I think you use the Imp because the Voidwalker will not be able to hold your threat. The dragon eggs needed can be found here by this tree stump. Make sure to pick one up for the quest. Now that the dragon quests are done, let's head over to the Worgen part of the zone. The Worgens can be found in the southeast. The Worgen area is pretty densely populated, so you will need to be careful not to get overwhelmed. Since we are in a party, it should be okay, but if you are doing this solo, take your time with this area. We will be making our way over to the house in the distance. That is where the Worgen boss is. Worgen intelligence can also be found next to the boss, so we can complete both quests at the same time. The Affliction Lock has pulled the boss. This boss is easier than the last, so it should not be an issue. Once this boss is complete, we will head inside the house to gather the intelligence. Here is the Worgen intelligence turn-in. Make sure to speak with the Night Elf. We have a couple more items to get, then we are finished with all the Duskwood quests. The complete circuit takes about 20 minutes to complete. You can find another person to rescue in this house sometimes. They can be a little hard to find, so you need to be thorough. Here is the Worgen artifact you need to get for the last quest. Now that this is complete, we can make our way back to the beginning. Let's turn in all of these quests and see how much experience we can get. Not bad. Almost 2 levels worth of experience. Now that we are level 27, we should be high enough to do a stockades run, so let's see if we can find a group. Funny enough, this group was looking for a healer, but I was invited because I messaged the leader. Since there are 3 paladins in the group, I asked if one could heal and they agreed. As you will see though, paladins are very strong in phase 7. I don't want to spoil the run too badly, but it's a pretty funny one. Paladins do an incredible amount of damage, and I think with 3 paladins, their divine storm healing can carry us most of the way. A paladin will stop and spot heal, but the damage output of the group is truly something to behold. In case you missed it, that was a boss we just killed, and we were able to harvest his head for the quest turn-in. With this kind of power, most bosses will get deleted from the dungeon. Anyway, let's keep going. Along the way, we will be collecting bandanas and progressing our kill quests. At the end of each hall, the stockades can get a bit dangerous in vanilla. Usually, these rooms are pretty densely populated, and the rooms are pretty close together, so it is easy for you to get overwhelmed. As you can see, though, we are rolling right through, so try not to be intimidated with healing or tanking one of these dungeons for the first time, because they are pretty easy. Here is Mr. Ward. This boss is usually pretty hard because he fears. If you don't clear the other rooms first, you can get feared into the rooms and attract lots of unwanted attention. We have made it to one of the final bosses in the dungeon. You usually want to spread out because he can cast chain lightning. In Season of Discovery, though, Zug Zug. Basil is the last boss of the dungeon, and we should make short work of him. On the way out, try to complete the kill quest and collect any bandanas you need. Let's make our rounds and turn in all of the stock's quests. You can turn one in right as we exit the dungeon. Make sure to train your Warlock skills and sell all items on the auction house. Off camera, I turned in all of our stock's quests. I was able to find a group heading into the Blackfathom Deeps, so we will be doing this raid next. If you never have done the Season of Discovery version of the Blackfathom Depths 10-man raid, it's pretty cool. Following the theme that you have seen in most of my videos, the players will generally be very strong given the content. Try not to get intimidated by the content if you have never done it before. In the beginning, we need to kill Naga at these stones located underwater. Once all are killed, you can engage the first boss, Baron Aquanis. The knock-up you just saw is part of Baron Aquanis' mechanics. He randomly debuffs someone with depth charge. If you have this, you will need to jump off the platform before it expires, otherwise you will knock everyone off the platform around you. I waste most of my time trying to summon my Felguard onto this platform. I am not sure why, but it's not a big deal. The bosses will die pretty quickly here. The bubbles you see in front of Baron Aquanis are his second mechanic. If you are facing him while he does this, he will knock you off the platform, so try to not stand in front of him when he does this. Gamura is the second boss in the raid. He starts the fight with a bubble barrier, and once the raid deals 100 instances of damage, the bubble will shatter, causing light raid-wide damage. The boss is pretty easy, provided you stay out of the bubbles that fall on the ground. Once the bubble barrier is broken, Gamura will start to take significant damage. I believe he even takes more magical damage than normal. Lady Saraves is the third boss, and she is accompanied by another elite Naga. She will cast ice patches on the ground that cannot be stood in. She will also cast chain lightning, so it's advised to spread out. The elite will just need to be tanked away from the raid. I believe the elite will despawn once Lady Saraves is dead. Each boss killed in the Blackfathom Deeps will grant 7,500 experience at level 29. Hopefully we will be able to get some items that will boost our power and hit level 30 before the instance is complete. Galihast is arguably one of the harder bosses in the instance. When Phase 2 first came out, and the level cap was 25 raids would start to wipe on this fight. The fight is broken up into various phases where Galihast will become immune to damage. At this point, he will summon many Murloc apparitions that will cause shadow damage if walked into. What I usually do is stay on the beach close to the boss and just dodge shadow crashes. You can completely ignore the mechanic by doing this. In Phase 7 of Season of Discovery, hunters are also complete monsters when it comes to damage. Our damage is okay, but we will need to specialize into affliction soon. I just haven't had time to do so because I wanted to join this Blackfathom Deeps group. Lorgus Jet is the 5th boss in Blackfathom Deeps. He is part of a gauntlet where you need to kill a series of Naga in order to get to Lorgus. The gauntlet is located right next to Galihast. Now that Lorgus has joined the fight, the two things you need to watch out for are a flaming ball that travels around the room. You must avoid that. And he will also summon a corrupted lightning totem. This totem must be killed because if it is not, every hit done to the boss while this totem is up will cause a chain lightning that will kill your group. The add-on Deadly Boss mods will be helpful in this raid because it will warn you about these mechanics. During Phase 2, Twilight Lord Kelris would end most raids in the beginning of the phase. He was a pretty challenging boss that required coordination and big damage. In Phase 7, he isn't too much of a challenge, so this is kind of cool to come back to after all this time. His first mechanic is he will throw shadow crashes around the room. These must be avoided, but more importantly, it will leave a pool of shadow. These pools will grow bigger as time passes. Given the growth of the pools during Phase 2, this became a damage race since inevitably they would fill the whole room. We do so much damage that we were able to transition him to Phase 2 without anyone being summoned to the Twilight. If you get summoned there, you must kill tentacles until you find a portal that will lead you out and back to the encounter. Akumai is the last boss of the raid. He does a breath attack in a random direction which leaves a stacking debuff on you. This debuff used to do significant damage and it would never end unless you had one of the water elementals cleanse it from you. If you have an elemental cleanse this debuff from you, it will summon elite elementals that will need to be killed. In Phase 7, this boss is now a pushover. During this transition phase, he will be immune to damage. During Phase 2, you typically would need to have an elemental cleanse the debuffs from the tanks. Now Zug Zug. Make sure to roll need on the perfect Blackfathom Pearl. This item grants a trinket upon turn-in. Each roll has a specific trinket, so it's worthwhile to pick it up if you can. This should be the end of the raid. Pretty easy, and it was a lot of fun coming back here, if you ask me. This seems like a good place to take a break. We were able to hit level 30, and we obtained a pretty sweet plus spell damage dagger, ring, and I believe pants. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give a like. Again, if you would like to see any changes, just let me know. Bye for now. Bye.